So I watched the movie last night. It caught me so off guard. It was so intense and such an entertaining watch at the same time. And at the beginning, it says, based on true events. How did all
Right.
this come to be? Like, how
Yeah.
did you find out the story? How did this story come to you?
Well, Jesus, first of all, thanks so much. Thanks for those nice words. Um, the story actually, it's weird. Years ago, I was watching this show about Sigmund Freud, and he was like, interviewing a patient. He was hypnotizing a patient. It was just like this little kind of docudrama. It wasn't anything. But I was like, wow, I'm like totally into this thing. And there was no visuals to go with it. It was just a patient and this guy playing Freud, but going into the patient's mind was really kind of like really bizarre. So then I started looking into stuff like that, and then there's all this stuff about past life regression, and
Mhm.
there's these amazing stories about people being able to give you specific facts, Jose, about their past, like another life. There's this one case of this lady, Jane Evans, I think, yeah, and she had barely a high school education, and she had visited six past lives, and the first three she recounted in amazing detail. And in those details, there was very obscure periods of history, like when Roman occupation of England and stuff, and she was the wife of Titus, and things like this. And the details that she had were so obscure, it was impossible for her to know them. And she talked about life at that time, and each one of those past lives came to a very kind of either a murder or something, and so it was interesting, and that's what they found with past life regression. The lives that seem to really linger are the ones that ended abruptly or violently or things like this. So that was something very interesting. There's a couple of well-known psychiatrists that have looked into things like this as well. There's one, Richard Gallagher, who's a board certified psychiatrist now at Columbia University, and also at New York Mental Institute. He's working with, and he's worked with demonic possession a lot. And there's things that he talks about, and he's got a book called Demonic Foes, which is very interesting about things like this. And there's another guy, Peck, who's passed away now, and he wrote a book as well, about his experiences. And he was a Harvard grad and a psychiatrist, and he eventually went to a couple of exorcisms. And so sometimes when you don't have a psychiatric diagnosis, then and other things elude you, that's what happens. Sorry for the long-winded answer, man. Just going
No,
on.
that's fine. This is fascinating. Aside from the story, this cast is amazing. How happy were you with finding these two very strong actors?
Well, thanks so much. Uh, so Adam came in for a cold reading of the next project we're doing, actually called Creature, and so I met him through Netu, my producer. Okay, and so what happened was we did this cold reading, and I thought, oh shit, man, this guy's good, right? Because it's, I've worked with a lot of actors before and done cold readings, and to be able to come and read a script that you've never read before and get it that quickly and be able to almost be that character was pretty impressive. So then we didn't have the money at that time to do Creature. So I started to come up with, at that time it was called Unhinged. Now it's called Hypnotica. So I thought, as I was writing it, I had Adam in mind. So, and then Adam went on and he won Best Actor at the Freak Show in Orlando, and we won the jury award. And then we were in Another Hole in the Head in San Francisco. And so I was very happy with what he did. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And having done so much research, got in the cast.
yeah.
When Adam came along, and it seems like he was like such a great fit for this.
Thank you.
H-
I'll tell
how
him
do
you
you,
said that.
how do you begin to direct him, and how much liberty do you have to give him, more and more to do?
Yeah, that's a great question, honestly. That I hope that I do that. What you just said, that's what I hope I do. Have you made a movie yourself?
I have done a bunch of short films, not
Yeah.
any feature length, no.
Right, but it's the same idea. So that question, I knew right away you'd made some movies because you know what it's like when you have somebody that you're working with and you have a good collaborative
Yeah,
team, and then you can let that actor kind of go a little bit and give them freedom. But it's weird, but because usually for me, when I do something, I'm not stuck on the dialogue that I write. To me, the actor's embodying the character. So sometimes they're going to come up with something spontaneously that's going to be more real and that I'm going to like more. And I'm sure you've had that experience when you were making your movies as well. And when you have that, you just roll with it. But in this movie, that didn't happen as much. They pretty much stuck to the dialogue. Yeah, everything, there's hardly anything improv in this movie. It was all pretty much written. And I think they did a great job. Um, but I'll just say this, the first day of shooting, we were up in the camera village, and we were shooting downstairs in this house, and I saw Adam do a couple of takes of this scene, and then I looked at the producer and I said, I think we have a shot at a movie here because he was, excuse me, so convincing right off the bat. You know what I mean? And I thought, once you have that, Jose, like you feel like somehow you can make a movie around that because I think that's the most important thing is that.
definitely. And these two actors that you have, they take over the movie for the entire thing. There's very little action.
Right.
It's mostly all talk, and yet it's very captivating.
Oh, thanks
Uh,
so much. Yeah.
is that the story? Is that their acting?
Yeah.
What do you feel really made this movie captivating like that?
Well, I think you're right. I think you just said it. I think you nailed it. It's exactly that. It's that they were convincing that Adam became that guy and that character, so you believed it. And then
Mhm.
once you believe it, then you could follow and go along with the story. You know, so I think that was the thing. And then another big factor was everybody on the team, as you well know, making a movie, you have to have a whole team of people. It's not just me alone. So a lot of people contributed a lot. Suzanne Spangler was a creative producer on this. She did a lot of, worked really well, helping shape this story, even in post. Okay. And then, everybody, cinematographer, the music, Ron Suris did a great job. And Dan, they did a great job with the music. That really helps to get you where you need to go sometimes, where you're not maybe quite getting there with the visuals or whatever, but they certainly make sure that we do it. So it's a lot of factors there.
Definitely, and
But
that's
thanks.
another thing. The music keeps the movie going at a very great pace.
Yeah.
It's not slow. It's not quick. You're able to just immerse yourself into this story. Where did that come from? Did you do research on other projects that did similar topics, or how did you come to that
You
point?
mean like where it's more contained, the film is more
Yeah.
contained and that kind of thing? Yeah. So look, what we did was we worked a lot with the sound design, and there was a point in post production where we thought, do we need visuals when he's under hypnosis, some cool visuals, some wild stuff. And there was a temptation to kind of go and shoot some visuals for those hypnosis scenes,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, I kept thinking of that Freud movie that I saw. And I thought, for me personally, I liked where your imagination could go, like Blair Witch, in other words. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, you don't know what the witch looks like to this day, but I watched that movie. I couldn't sleep for 2 nights as a grown man,
Mhm.
So it was like, we got this thing where I just thought, let's go with the what he's saying and see if the mind will go where he's taking us.
Mhm.
And so that's what we tried to do, but we didn't belabor it. We tried not to have it, be too long where people got
Mhm.
bored, hopefully.
Definitely, you definitely do not get bored of this.
Great. That's so good.
It hits you. So
Thank you.
um, there's a great scientific aspects of this movie, but also the religion part. What
Yeah.
made you want to include religion into this?
Oh, good question. I don't know. I don't know. It's always been there for me. Every time I do something, religion is in the back of my mind because I really don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything. And so it's always this great mystery about, to me, about God and Jesus and other religions. And so I think it always comes up through the exploration of a story or the expression of an idea. Ultimately, it's about that. And, in this film, uh, the psychiatrist starts praying at one point, and he says to him, you should have thought of that sooner.
Hmm.
And that's what really, always is in the back of my mind. Hey, maybe I should have thought of this religion sooner, or maybe I should be more vested in that. I really don't know.
That's awesome. But your psychiatrist is very neat, very kept, very
Yes.
professional, and then you have a patient who is the complete opposite. It's a very good contrast.
Yeah.
Um, why put those two together?
Yeah, well, for you said it exactly, that reason, to have that. I think the contrast, but also I think you have a character that's. I think it's fun for Adam to play a character that has really. There's no way you could play it wrong. Really, you could take it in any direction you want as long as you're committed and you're willing to go there and fully be in that place. I think it'll work, and he proved that. And so I think it's fun to have a character that's unpredictable. Jose, like you don't know what he's going to do next, and that sort of thing. And I think if we had even more time on this film, we would have done a few scenes even more and just gone with it, improv more with the camera, and have him go to places where neither of us knew. He and I wouldn't know where he's going to go.
Mhm. That is awesome. It's great
And
to
that,
have
I think,
a
and you know this from making movies, like that's the great fun of making a movie, is
yeah.
sometimes there's this thing that happens and you got it in camera and you're like, oh my God, I got this thing. And it's like this little bit of magic that happened, and you've got it forever, really. And you can look at it at any time. So, if you do a play, you have something great happen, but then it's gone. It's just in the memory. But here we've got it in film. So.
Definitely. And you talked a little bit about Adam auditioning for Creatures. Is there anything you could tell us about Creatures?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Creature is a project we're super excited about. We're in development on right now. And it's a similar kind of story in a way. It involves a female psychiatrist who comes home after a long day. She's a world-renowned forensic psychiatrist, and she did rounds in the prison, in Trenton prison, and New Jersey. And she comes home to her. She's got a really nice big house, and she turns off the house alarm, and then she sees a steaming hot cup of espresso on an end table down the hall, and she starts to get frightened, and then she hears out of the shadows, "Hello, doctor." And the voice belongs to a guy who's easily 6'5", and he's the kind of the embodiment of the Iceman, Richard Kuklinski. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yes.
Yes, so there you go. So the movie is really about her in her house with this guy who's come for a couple of reasons. But one of them is that he's at a crossroads. His family and 3 kids live in the suburbs and don't know that he's a serial killer and that he works for the mafia. And so he's come there to her house, but he is who he is, you know. He's a
Yeah.
serial killer. And so this slowly comes out, but in the meantime, her husband is coming home, and her husband is the love of her life. And it's really really an incredible love story that they have, these two. And so the core of the movie is a love story, but the creature, in this, the name is Leonard, but he's really the Iceman, is the catalyst in that love story, and it takes us on a trajectory. And so the things that this woman will do to save her husband because she loves him more than her own life is unbelievable. So that's what that movie is about.
That is awesome. I hope I get to watch it and talk to you when that comes out.
Thank you. I hope I get to make it. We're working on it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on this project. Hypnotica is a great watch. Very great topic. Very well done.
Thanks,
And
Jose.
it's great to get to talk to you about it as well.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.